Listen, nothing changes until the little things become unstoppable habits. This book delivers a brutal, simple truth. Discipline is a formula, not a feeling. Over the next hour, you will learn 10 rules, concrete actions you can repeat every day that turn tiny choices into lifetime outcomes. No motivation required, no philosophical fluff. Do the work, measure the work, repeat the work. If success is built one day at a time, this is the blueprint. Start now. Chapter 1. Stop proving and start doing. You spent too long trying to prove something, proving you're disciplined, proving you're talented, proving you're motivated. And every time you try to prove something, you lose the very energy you need to build something. That's the trap. That's the cycle. And today, it ends. Listen carefully. Proving to others is a drain. Doing the real work is fuel. You have a choice. Every day, millions of people wake up and walk straight into performance theater. They dress for approval, they speak for approval, they pretend for approval. But at the end of the day, nothing has been built. Nothing has been created. Nothing has been strengthened. Why? Because performance is not progress. It never was, it never will be. The world tells you to show your grind. The world tells you to post your effort. But here's the truth. If you need an audience to start, you'll need an audience to continue. And when the audience leaves, your consistency leaves with it. That's why discipline collapses for so many people, not because they lack talent, but because they're chasing applause instead of outcomes. Say it with me. Action beats approval. Action beats approval. Action beats approval. Think of the workplace. One employee posts every productivity moment online, every coffee cup with captions like grinding, every screenshot of a laptop with a motivational quote. It looks productive, but it's empty. Then there's the quiet employee. No noise, no show, no applause. But they ship the product. They send the deliverables. They complete the work. Who wins long-term? The one who does, not the one who performs. You have a choice. Stop proving, start doing. When you redirect your focus from impressing others to impressing yourself, everything changes. You stop seeking permission, you stop waiting for applause, you stop asking, "Do they see me?" and start asking, "Did I execute today?" That's the key. Because action compounds, consistency compounds, but approval fades. Approval is cheap. Approval is temporary. Approval is unstable. When you rely on it, your discipline becomes unstable too. Let's break down the second truth of this chapter. A single, consistent micro-action beats sporadic grand gestures. Every time, without fail. People love big efforts. They love dramatic pushes. They love saying, "I'm going to write my entire chapter this weekend." Then the weekend comes, motivation is low, and nothing happens. Then they start over, again and again and again. Meanwhile, the disciplined creator writes 250 words a day, just 250. That's it. Not impressive, not dramatic, not worthy of applause, but 250 words a day becomes 7,500 words a month. That becomes a full book in less than a year. Quiet, steady, unstoppable. That's how discipline works. Small every day is greater than big sometimes. Say it again. Small every day is greater than big sometimes. Small every day is greater than big sometimes. Choosing consistency over intensity will change your identity, because intensity impresses people, but consistency transforms you. You have a choice. Every time you try to prove something, you distract yourself. You split your focus. You become a marketer for your own effort instead of a builder of your own results. And that is the fastest way to stay stuck. So let me give you the simplest instruction in this chapter. Stop telling the world what you will do. Start showing yourself what you can do. One micro-action, repeated daily. That's the blueprint.
And now we move to the third pillar of this chapter. Replace validation checkpoints with objective checkpoints. This is the heart of discipline. Most people don't have a discipline problem, they have a measurement problem. They measure applause, they measure compliments, they measure how many people noticed, but none of those metrics mean anything. None of them build your skill. None of them make you consistent. What you measure, you magnify. What you track, you strengthen. What you quantify, you improve. You have a choice. Start measuring the right things. Track deliverables, not likes. Track code merged, not compliments received. Track pages written, not hearts on a story post. Your discipline must answer to math, not emotion, not validation, not outside noise. Measure output, not praise. Measure output, not praise. Repeat it until it becomes your operating system. This is how real transformation begins. You remove the audience, you remove the applause, you remove the external scoreboard, and you create one scoreboard, your scoreboard. One rule, one metric, one question at the end of every day. Did I do the work? Not, did they see it? Did they like it? Did they applaud it? None of that matters. You don't need their permission. You never did. You have a choice. You can be the person who performs the grind or the person who executes the grind. You can be the person who posts about discipline or the person who quietly builds it. You can be the person who waits for validation or the person who generates results. Action beats approval. Consistency beats intensity. Output beats applause. Every transformation in your life will come from these three truths. They are the foundation of your discipline formula. Let's recap the commands of this chapter. Stop proving. Performance is a drain. Start doing. Action is the fuel. Choose micro-actions, small steps repeated relentlessly. Measure what matters. Output, streaks, deliverables, not likes. Detach from approval. You don't need permission to be consistent. Your life changes the moment you internalize this. You are not here to impress. You are here to build. And builders don't waste time proving. They execute. They repeat. They rise. This is your starting line. This is your reset point. This is where the old you ends and the disciplined you begins. Action beats approval. Permanently. Small every day is greater than big sometimes, permanently. Measure output, not praise, permanently. Engrave those sentences in your mind. Let them become your new reflex, because the rest of this book will build on this foundation. Without understanding Chapter 1, nothing else will stick. With understanding Chapter 1, everything else becomes possible. You have a choice. Choose discipline. Choose action. Choose output. Choose the quiet work that compounds. You've stopped proving. You're ready to start doing. Now that you've claimed your focus back from the world, it's time to design the environment that will protect it.
Chapter 2. Design the environment, don't willpower it. Willpower is not your strategy. Willpower is not your foundation. Willpower is not your path to consistency. Willpower is a battery, and that battery runs out. That's why your discipline collapses at 5 p.m., not 5 a.m. That's why your habits fall apart when you're stressed, tired, overwhelmed, or angry, because you're relying on the weakest form of discipline, willpower. You have a choice. You can keep depending on motivation and hoping it magically shows up, or you can build an environment that makes discipline automatic. That's the key. Every transformation starts with one truth. If you change the room, you change the result. The room shapes your decisions more than your desires. The environment controls your actions more than your intentions. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your environment. Look at the athlete who tries to diet using willpower alone.
They say, "I won't eat junk," but their kitchen is filled with chips, cookies, and soda. They aren't fighting hunger, they're fighting their environment, and nobody wins that battle for long. Now look at the disciplined athlete. No junk food at home, no temptations in the cabinets, protein in the fridge, water bottles visible, healthy snacks prepped. This athlete doesn't rely on willpower, they rely on structure. Design the room, win the day. Design the room, win the day. When your environment supports your discipline, you don't need permission for motivation. You don't need emotional energy to stay consistent. You simply follow the path your environment already laid out for you. Let's go deeper. Your environment is not passive. Your environment is a coach. Your environment is a system. Your environment is a trigger. It tells you what to do every hour, every minute, every second. Think about your phone. If it's in your hand, you scroll. If it's on your desk, you check it. If it's beside your bed, you wake up and reach for it. Not because you lack discipline, but because the cue is too loud. The environment wins. You have a choice. If you want to read more, put the book on your pillow. If you want to study more, put your materials on your desk. If you want to sleep earlier, remove the screens from your room. If you want to stop mindless scrolling, charge your phone in another room. This is not about intelligence. This is not about willpower. This is about discipline. Your environment must push you toward the right actions and pull you away from the wrong ones. That means designing visible triggers for your best habits and building friction around your worst ones. Repeat it. Make the right move the easy move. Make the right move the easy move. If your workout clothes are buried under laundry, you won't go to the gym. If your planner is hidden in a drawer, you won't plan your day. If your workspace is cluttered, your mind will be too. If your junk food is on the table and your fruit is in the back of the fridge, you know exactly what you'll eat. You don't need more willpower. You need fewer obstacles. Let's talk about friction. High friction means hard to start. Low friction means easy to start. Your environment decides which one you experience. If you want to break a bad habit, increase friction. Turn off autoplay. Log out of apps. Move social media off your home screen. Put snacks on the highest shelf. Add steps to your vices. If you want to build a good habit, remove friction. Leave the book open. Keep the journal on the table. Set the running shoes by the door. Meal prep the night before. Use one-click habit apps. Your brain follows the path of least resistance every time. So build a path that leads to discipline, not distraction. You have a choice. And now we step into the third pillar of environmental mastery. Automate the first 10 seconds of a habit. Why 10 seconds? Because the first 10 seconds decide everything. Once you start, momentum takes over. Once you initiate, discipline follows. That's the key. If you lay out your workout clothes the night before, your brain wakes up with a head start. If your bag is already packed, the gym becomes the default. If your fruit is pre-sliced, you'll eat it. If your writing document is already open, you'll type. If your water bottle is filled and visible, you'll drink. You don't need motivation for the whole habit. You just need automation for the first 10 seconds. Say it with me. First 10 seconds wins. First 10 seconds wins. Consistency is not built on massive effort. Consistency is built on frictionless beginnings. Most people fail because they make the start too heavy. They overcomplicate the setup. They delay the first step. They force themselves to feel like it. And when the feeling doesn't show up, the habit dies. But the disciplined person masters the start. They automate the first 10 seconds. They remove the decision-making. They eliminate hesitation. And because they start, they finish. You don't need their permission. You don't need motivation to be perfect. You don't need good vibes to get moving. You need an environment that supports your goals every single day. Let's put it all together. Design the room. Your space must reflect your goals, not your distractions. Use behavioral cues, visible triggers for good habits, friction for bad ones. Automate the first 10 seconds. Make discipline the default, not the struggle. That's the formula. That's the leverage. That's the foundation of real consistency. This chapter is about one powerful truth. Your environment is the silent architect of your discipline. You think you fail because you're weak. No, you fail because your environment is loud, chaotic, and misaligned with your goals. But you have a choice. Today, you redesign the room. Today, you restructure the cues. Today, you build a world that rewards discipline and punishes distraction. Because once the environment is right, the behavior becomes automatic, the consistency becomes natural, the discipline becomes effortless. This is how disciplined people win, not through force, not through motivation, through design. Design the room, win the day. Make the right move the easy move. First 10 seconds wins. You mastered the external space. Now it's time to master the internal space, your identity.
Chapter 3. The 2-minute start rule. If you want to become consistent, you must master the start. Not the middle, not the finish, the start. Because every habit, every routine, every transformation is determined by what you do in the first moments, the first push, the first breath, the first decision. And that's where most people lose. Not because they're weak, but because they make the start too heavy. You have a choice. You can keep making habits complicated, or you can shrink them until they're impossible to resist. That's the key. Welcome to the 2-minute start rule, the discipline formula that destroys resistance before it even forms. The rule is simple. Any new habit must begin with a 2-minute version of itself. Not the full version, not the ideal version, the 2-minute version. Because when the habit is small, the brain doesn't panic. Because when the habit is tiny, the body doesn't fight it. Because when the habit is easy, you stop negotiating. You don't need their permission. You don't need motivation. You don't need perfect conditions. You only need 2 minutes. Say it with me. Do 2 minutes. Do 2 minutes. 2 minutes of reading before bed becomes 30 minutes in a few weeks. 2 minutes of stretching becomes a 15-minute routine. 2 minutes of writing becomes a full page. 2 minutes of practicing becomes a daily ritual. The first 2 minutes create momentum, and momentum is the real engine of discipline. Let's break down why this works. Your brain hates big beginnings. It hates heavy starts. It hates the weight of everything at once. That weight triggers avoidance. Avoidance becomes delay. Delay becomes guilt, and guilt becomes failure. It's not about laziness. It's about biology. It's not about weakness. It's about discipline. And discipline says, shrink the habit until it fits inside 2 minutes. Start small. Start light. Start immediately. Do 2 minutes. Because after 2 minutes, something powerful happens. The resistance dies. The hardest part is over. The door is open. The identity shifts. Now let's talk about the second truth of the 2-minute rule. The goal is consistency, not intensity. Intensity looks impressive. Consistency builds the identity. The coder who waits for inspiration gets nothing done. The coder who opens the project file, just opens it, wins the day. Because opening the file is the 2-minute version of coding. It makes starting trivial. It lowers the threshold. It removes the negotiation. Say it. Start tiny. Start tiny. Because once you start tiny, you end up going farther than you planned. That's the secret. That's the magic. That's the leverage of 2 minutes. You weren't supposed to finish the novel. You were supposed to write for 2 minutes. You weren't supposed to run a mile. You were supposed to put on your shoes and walk for 2 minutes. You weren't supposed to clean the whole house. You were supposed to start with one surface for 2 minutes. And when the 2 minutes are done, one of two things will happen.
You stop, and that's fine because you kept the streak alive, or you continue because momentum pulled you forward without force. The win is the start, the reward is the momentum, the identity is the consistency. You have a choice. Every habit you want to build has a 2-minute door. You must find it, you must use it, you must walk through it daily. Let's break it down even further. The 2-minute rule does 3 things. It kills perfectionism. There's no perfect moment for a 2-minute habit. Life can't get in the way of 2 minutes. It rewires your identity. If you read for 2 minutes a day, you become someone who reads. If you exercise for 2 minutes a day, you become someone who works out. Identity grows from repetition, not duration. It builds a streak you refuse to break. 2 minutes is too small to skip, too easy to fail at, too obvious to ignore. This is how disciplined people create unstoppable momentum. Not by force, not by hype, by shrinking the friction to nearly zero. Remember, start tiny, because tiny steps today become massive habits tomorrow. Now let's move into the 3rd pillar of this chapter. Use the 2-minute rule as the daily gatekeeper for every habit. If the start takes more than 2 minutes, it won't start. That's the truth. That's the psychology. That's the discipline. Say it. 2 minutes to begin. 2 minutes to begin. This is how you convert overwhelming tasks into automatic habits. Clean the house becomes clear one surface. Study for 3 hours becomes open the book and review 1 paragraph. Write a full chapter becomes write for 2 minutes. Learn a language becomes open the app and complete 1 lesson. Practice gratitude becomes write 1 sentence. Every task has a tiny version. Every habit has a doorway. Every routine has a small beginning. You don't need their permission to start small. You don't need validation for a 2-minute win. You only need discipline. And discipline says, begin. Let me give you the simplest rule of transformation. If you can't do the 2-minute version of the habit is too big. Shrink it, simplify it, compress it. Because the 2-minute version is not the whole habit, it's the gateway, it's the ignition, it's the spark. Once the brain engages, the rest follows naturally. You have a choice. You can stay stuck in the fantasy of big change that never begins, or you can master the micro start that transforms your entire identity. Let's review the core truth. Discipline is built in the first 2 minutes. Consistency is born in the first 2 minutes. Momentum activates in the first 2 minutes. Identity shifts in the first 2 minutes. A 2-minute action today is more powerful than a 2-hour plan tomorrow. Do 2 minutes. Start tiny. 2 minutes to begin. This rule will carry you through the hardest days, the unmotivated days, the exhausted days, the overwhelmed days, because your discipline won't depend on mood. It won't depend on motivation. It won't depend on inspiration. It will depend on 2 minutes, and you always have 2 minutes. This chapter is the turning point, because once you master the start, you become unstoppable. Once you master the start, the habit becomes inevitable. Once you master the start, you remove the biggest barrier in your life, hesitation. You now understand why disciplined people succeed. They never fight the whole battle. They just win the first 2 minutes. You have a choice. Let this be the chapter that ends procrastination forever. Let this be the moment where hesitation dies and action begins. You've mastered the start. Now it's time to master the identity behind the start, the long-term version of you that consistency builds.
Chapter 4. Ritualize the repetition. You want consistency. You want momentum. You want discipline that actually lasts. Then stop relying on motivation. Stop relying on how you feel today. Stop relying on inspiration, emotion, or mood. You have a choice, and your choice must be this. Build rituals that make repetition automatic. Most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because their days have no structure. They wake up and negotiate with themselves. They negotiate with comfort. They negotiate with delay. That's the problem. And here's the key. Rituals remove negotiation. Ritual first, thinking later. Ritual first, thinking later. Let that line burn into your mind. A ritual is a sequence that never changes. A ritual is boring, and that's why it's powerful. A ritual is predictable, and that's why it works. Discipline thrives when the process stays the same, even when your mood doesn't. Think about a pilot. Before flying, they don't feel their way through safety checks. They run the same checklist every single time. Why? Because the brain relaxes when the pattern is fixed. You need that. You need a personal checklist for your own success. Rituals remove decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is destroying your progress. You waste energy deciding when to start, how to start, and whether to start. You drain willpower before the work even begins. But when you ritualize the repetition, the decision disappears. Ritual first, thinking later. Ritual first, thinking later. Imagine you have a morning ritual. Water, 4 deep breaths, a priority list with the top 3 tasks, executed the same way every day. You don't debate, you don't question, you don't scroll before starting. You follow the sequence like muscle memory. This is discipline in its purest form, predictable action repeated daily. It's not about motivation, it's about structure. It's not about inspiration, it's about discipline. You have a choice, and your choice is this: choose the ritual. Here's the truth. Your brain loves loops. When you repeat the same pattern in the same order, the mind feels safe. It lowers resistance. It reduces excuses. It moves you from I should to I do. Start building your sequence. Make it simple. Make it short. Make it repeatable. Because the more predictable your ritual, the more predictable your results. Habit stacking makes repetition effortless. Once your ritual is stable, you stack habits onto it. This is called habit anchoring, attaching the new behavior to something you already do every single day. Stack the tiny. Stack the tiny. After brushing your teeth, journal 1 sentence. After opening your laptop, write the first line of your task. After lunch, do 5 push-ups. After your commute, review your plan. This eliminates resistance because your brain already expects the anchor habit. By attaching a new action to it, you piggyback on an existing behavior. You don't need more willpower, you need more anchors. You don't need better motivation, you need better systems. And here's the key. Consistency becomes automatic when your habits piggyback on routines that already exist. Think about it. You don't forget to brush your teeth. You don't forget to put on clothes. You don't forget to check your phone. So connect your growth to these anchors. That's how you multiply discipline without multiplying effort. Stack the tiny. Stack the tiny. Because small stacked actions trigger big compounded results. Make the ritual attractive. Here's the part most people ignore. Your brain needs a reward to stick with a ritual long term. Not a massive reward, not a celebration, just a small, consistent sensory cue that makes the ritual pleasant. Rituals win. Rituals win. For example, a special tea you only drink during writing sessions, a playlist that plays exclusively during workouts, a candle scent that signals focus time, a single piece of dark chocolate after finishing morning reading. These aren't luxuries, these are neural anchors. They tell your brain, when this cue appears, this behavior follows. You have a choice, and you can make your habits painful, or you can make your habits sticky. And the sticky ones win, because repetition only survives when the experience isn't miserable.
Make your ritual attractive. Make it rewarding. Make it emotionally satisfying. Because the truth is simple. Your brain repeats what feels good and avoids what feels painful. But here's the key you must burn into your mind. You're not rewarding the result. You're rewarding the repetition. You're reinforcing the behavior. You're reinforcing the identity. You're reinforcing the discipline. Rituals win. Rituals win. Your real transformation begins with ritual. Rituals turn chaos into clarity. Rituals turn emotion into discipline. Rituals turn dreams into consistent action. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being predictable. It's not about intensity, it's about repetition. It's not about proving, it's about producing. You don't need their permission. You don't need motivation. You don't need the right moment. You need a ritual, and you need to follow it every single day. Start with a simple morning sequence. Then stack one tiny habit onto it. Then add a sensory cue to make it enjoyable. Follow the same order, at the same time, with the same focus. Because when your rituals are fixed, your results become inevitable. And that's the key. The ritual creates the rhythm. The rhythm creates the discipline. The discipline creates the growth. You have a choice, and your choice is this. Ritualize the repetition until consistency becomes your identity. You've built the ritual. You've built the structure. Now it's time to build the emotional backbone that keeps you grounded. Because the next level of consistency requires control. Control of distractions, control of pressure, control of your attention. You mastered the ritual. Now let's talk about the power you keep losing without realizing it.
Chapter 5. Measure like a scientist. If you want real discipline, you need real data. Not vibes, not feelings, not guesses. Data. Most people think they're disciplined, but when you ask them what they actually did, they freeze. They don't know. They can't tell you. There's no record. There's no proof. There's just memory, and memory lies. This is why so many people stay stuck. Their discipline is emotional, not measurable. Their progress is imaginary, not verified. Their growth is a belief, not a statistic. You have a choice. You can operate in guesses, or you can operate in truth. And here's the truth you can't run from. If it's not measured, it's a guess. If it's not measured, it's a guess. Argument 1. Discipline without measurement is superstition. Superstition is doing things without knowing why they work. Superstition is hoping effort pays off without understanding the effort itself. Superstition is believing intensity equals progress when it doesn't. You don't need superstition, you need measurement. That's the key. Every disciplined person tracks something. Athletes track reps, sets, times, distances. Entrepreneurs track revenue per hour, cost per lead, conversion rates. Writers track word count, drafts completed, publishing frequency. Musicians track minutes practiced, scales mastered, songs rehearsed. The amateurs rely on, "I think I did enough today," but the disciplined rely on numbers, on evidence, on facts. If it's not measured, it's a guess. If it's not measured, it's a guess. Applies to your fitness, your knowledge, your career, your habits. Track something, even if it's tiny. You don't need a perfect system. You don't need a polished app. You don't need anyone's permission. Track the minutes. Track the reps. Track the pages. Track the streak. Measure the behavior, not the emotion. Why? Because data kills delusion, and delusion kills discipline. When you measure, you see reality, the truth of your effort, not the story you tell yourself about your effort. And that's the key. Measurement turns luck into learning. Measurement turns hope into strategy. Measurement turns trying into improving. You want progress? Measure it. You want growth? Track it. You want transformation? Document it. You have a choice, belief or evidence. Choose evidence. Argument 2. Use weekly and monthly windows, not daily noise. Here's where most people go wrong. They obsess over every individual day. One bad day, they quit. One missed habit, they panic. One off moment, they think the whole plan is ruined. But the disciplined know better. You are not measured by the day. You are measured by the trend. Trend beats noise. Trend beats noise. Daily numbers fluctuate. Daily performance varies. Daily energy rises and falls. You're human, not a machine. But when you zoom out to weekly trends and monthly patterns, you see the truth. You see progress. You see consistency. You see momentum. And that's the key. A single day means nothing. A week means something. A month means transformation. Look at your life like a scientist analyzing data. Stop panicking about the daily line on the graph. Start paying attention to the slope over time. Track your habit streak by week. Track your skill growth by month. Track your energy trends over seasons. Do this, and your discipline becomes impossible to break because you know the difference between noise and signal. And here's the truth. It's not about perfection, it's about accumulation. One slip doesn't break the system. Giving up on the system breaks the system. So stop letting one off day define your worth. Stop letting one rough moment erase momentum. Stop letting daily chaos blind you to weekly progress. Trend beats noise. Trend beats noise. Zoom out, see the bigger pattern, and stay the course. Argument 3. Run experiments. Discipline is iterative. Most people treat discipline like fate. You either have it or you don't. You either succeed or you fail. That's wrong and dangerous. Discipline is not a personality trait. Discipline is a series of experiments. Test, track, tweak. Test, track, tweak. That's your new loop. That's your new system. That's how you improve. Change one variable at a time. Observe what happens. Document the result. This is how elite performers operate. If a workout feels inconsistent, test doing it in the morning for 3 weeks. Compare energy, compare strength, compare consistency. If your studying feels scattered, switch location. Try the library, try a quiet room, try a public space. Measure focus time each session. If your creative work feels blocked, test different writing hours. Track word count for every session. Track completion rate. Track ease of starting. This is how discipline grows, not through guessing, but through iteration. Test, track, tweak. Test, track, tweak. Most people try a habit once, fail, and quit. Why? Because they think failure is a verdict. But failure is data. Failure is feedback. Failure is information. Scientists don't quit when an experiment fails. They analyze, they adjust, they adapt. You must do the same. It's not about flaw, it's about the discipline. It's not about weakness, it's about the system. You have a choice. Stop seeing yourself as the problem. Start seeing the process as the variable. Then change the variable. Because the disciplined don't wait for perfect conditions. They create conditions through experimentation. Your job isn't to guess. Your job isn't to hope. Your job is to test everything until something works. Track the outcomes, tweak the inputs, repeat the loop. This is how discipline becomes predictable. This is how results become reliable. This is how success becomes scientific. Bring it all together. Measure, don't mythologize. Here's what you must understand. Measurement is not optional. It's the backbone of progress. Without measurement, you drift. With measurement, you direct. Without measurement, you hope. With measurement, you adapt. Without measurement, you struggle. With measurement, you improve. That's the key. Data gives clarity. Clarity gives discipline. Discipline gives transformation. Measure something every day. Analyze something every week. Experiment with something every month. Make measurement the engine that drives your consistency. Because when you measure like a scientist, you live like a disciplined person. And when you live like a disciplined person, success stops being accidental. You have a choice. Choose tracking over guessing. Choose trends over emotions. Choose experiments over excuses. Measure your progress. Master your discipline. Build your momentum. This is how you turn your life into a controlled evolution instead of a chaotic spiral. You've learned to measure, you've learned to track, you've learned to adjust. Now you need the next weapon, the ability to protect your mind from the noise that sabotages your discipline. You mastered measurement. Now you must master boundaries.
Chapter 6. Get brutally honest with feedback. If you want discipline, you need truth. Not comfort, not softness, not praise. Truth. Most people don't grow because they don't want to hear the thing that would actually change their life. They want encouragement. They want approval. They want applause. But applause is not progress. Praise is not improvement. Comfort is not correction. You have a choice. You can chase validation or you can chase truth, but you cannot chase both. And here's the reality. Want better? Want truth. Want better? Want truth. That's the key. You don't get disciplined by hiding from criticism. You get disciplined by seeking it. You get disciplined by inviting it. You get disciplined by using it. So let's break down the 3 pillars of real feedback-driven discipline. Argument 1. Honest feedback accelerates course correction. Soft praise slows progress. Most people surround themselves with soft voices. People who say, "It's fine." People who say, "You're trying." People who say, "You're doing enough." But here's the truth. Soft praise keeps you soft. Soft praise keeps you average. Soft praise keeps you stuck. If you want to grow, you need someone willing to expose the gap between what you did versus what you should have done, the gap between effort and execution, the gap between potential and performance. You need honest feedback. Think of a manager who asks their team for 2 required critiques on every project. No sugarcoating, no ego protection, 2 critiques, minimum. This creates speed. This creates refinement. This creates real progress. Contrast that with a team that avoids critique, a team that nods politely, a team that praises mediocrity, a team that says looks good when it doesn't. That team will never evolve. They will never outgrow their patterns. They will never break through. Want better? Want truth. Want better? Want truth. That's the key. You don't get disciplined by hiding from criticism. You get disciplined by seeking it. You get disciplined by inviting it. You get disciplined by using it. So let's break down the 3 pillars of real feedback-driven discipline. Argument 2. Use public accountability minimally and privately when possible. Accountability is not humiliation, it's alignment. Accountability aligns. Accountability aligns. You don't need the crowd. You need one person, or even just yourself, who checks the facts. Someone who says, "Did you submit the work? Did you hit the metric? Did you finish the deliverable?" Not, "Did people like it? Did people applaud you? Did you get social approval?" That's noise. That's vanity. That's distraction. Think of a progress partner who does one simple thing: checks your weekly deliverables. Not your goals, not your hopes, not your future dreams, your deliverables. A weekly check-in is more powerful than 1,000 motivational posts because it forces alignment, it forces consistency, it forces discipline. No audience needed, no spotlight needed, no performance needed. You don't need their permission to stay accountable. You need structure.
And here's the truth you've been avoiding. The more public the accountability, the more likely it becomes performance. The more private the accountability, the more likely it becomes discipline. You have a choice. You can chase applause or you can chase alignment. Accountability aligns. Accountability aligns. Choose alignment. Argument 3. Turn failure into feedback loops. What broke, why, and the corrective micro-step for tomorrow. Failure is not the enemy. Failure is the data. Failure is the information. Failure is the signal, but only if you use it. Most people treat failure like a verdict. They internalize it. They dramatize it. They make it emotional. But disciplined people turn failure into an input, not an identity. Fail plus learn equals forward. Fail plus learn equals forward. That's your formula now. The moment something goes wrong, you don't collapse, you assess. Ask 3 questions every time. What broke? Be specific. Was it the time? Was it the trigger? Was it the environment? Was it the plan? Why did it break? Did you overestimate your energy? Did you underestimate the friction? Did you ignore a cue? Did you skip a ritual? So what do? Pre-select clothes. Set a 2-minute entry ritual. Move the environment into alignment. Micro-step, not meltdown. If you broke your writing streak, inspect the moment. Did you sit down too late? Did your phone distract you? Did the task feel too big? So tomorrow, shrink it. 2 minutes, 1 sentence, 1 paragraph. Fail plus learn equals forward. Fail plus learn equals forward. That's your formula now. This is how winners operate. They don't fear failure. They analyze it. They convert it. They transform it. Failure is feedback. Feedback is fuel. Fuel is forward motion. You have a choice. You can let failure stop you, or you can let failure teach you. Only one of those creates momentum. Bring it all together. Feedback is the sharpening stone of discipline. You cannot grow without friction. You cannot improve without correction. You cannot transform without honesty. That's the key. The faster you seek truth, the faster you evolve. Feedback exposes blind spots. Feedback corrects your aim. Feedback accelerates your discipline. Soft praise slows you down, but brutal honesty speeds you up. You don't need their permission to improve. You need their honesty, and you need your own honesty. Ask for truth. Listen to truth. Apply truth. Want better? Want truth. Accountability aligns. Fail plus learn equals forward. These aren't slogans, they're systems. Use them. Because discipline is not fueled by emotion, it's fueled by evaluation, by correction, by iteration. You have a choice right now. Hide from the truth or use the truth. One path protects your ego, the other builds your future. Pick the path that builds. You've learned to face truth. You've learned to use feedback. You've learned to turn mistakes into momentum. Now you need to master the next discipline, the one that eliminates friction and removes hesitation from your life. You sharpened your accuracy. Now sharpen your automation.
Chapter 7. Kill the all-or-nothing mindset. Perfectionism destroys more dreams than failure ever will. That's the truth most people never face. Not because they can't see it, but because the all-or-nothing mindset feels safe. It feels righteous. It feels controlled. But it's a trap, a silent trap, a progress-killing trap. And if you don't kill it, it will kill your consistency. You have a choice. You always have a choice. That's the key. The all-or-nothing mindset whispers one sentence that ruins entire lives. If it can't be perfect, don't bother. And that sentence is a lie, a loud lie, a comforting lie. It disguises itself as a standard, but it's actually avoidance. Avoidance pretending to be ambition. Listen closely. Perfectionism kills progress. Progress tolerates imperfection and compounds anyway. Say it with me. Progress over perfect. Progress over perfect. That isn't a cute slogan, it's a survival rule. Look at your own life. Look at the areas where you've stayed stuck. The habit you wanted to build, the skill you wanted to learn, the discipline you wanted to master. Every time you stopped, it wasn't because you were incapable. It was because you demanded a perfect effort from an imperfect human. You created a standard so rigid that even success couldn't fit inside it. You want proof? Look at the musician. One practices every day, imperfectly. The other waits for the perfect mood, the perfect inspiration, the perfect conditions. The daily player grows, slowly, quietly, consistently. The perfectionist waits and waits and waits. One day of imperfect action beats 1 year of perfect hesitation. That's the key. You don't need their permission to begin messy. You don't need your own permission to deliver something that's good enough. This chapter is about ending the psychological addiction to perfection, because that addiction is costing you momentum, confidence, and identity. When you kill the all-or-nothing mindset, you unlock the only identity that matters, the identity of a finisher. The first breakthrough. Imperfection is a requirement for mastery. Progress is not supposed to look clean. Progress is not supposed to look impressive. Progress is supposed to look consistent. And consistent means imperfect. Read that again. Imperfect. The daily musician who plays out of tune still beats the musician who waits 2 weeks for the perfect mood. Why? Because daily motion creates compounding. Daily motion creates calibration. Daily motion creates identity. You have a choice. Choose motion. This applies everywhere. If your diet wasn't perfect today, you still improved if you made one disciplined choice. If your workout wasn't perfect, you still won if you showed up. If your business work wasn't perfect, you still moved forward if you completed a single task. Say it again. Progress over perfect. Progress over perfect. That's the key. Build resilience into the plan. The second enemy you must kill is fragility. Most people create disciplines that crumble the moment life gets real. They say they want consistency, but they build routines that only work when everything is flawless. That's not discipline, that's fantasy. You must build resilience into the plan. Resilience means this. You expect disruption before disruption arrives. You expect low energy days. You expect distractions. You expect missed days. And instead of collapsing, you recalibrate. You adapt. You continue. Let me give you a rule that will change your life. If you miss a day, you don't reset to 0. You restart tomorrow with the 2-minute rule. Not a punishment, not a restart from scratch, a 2-minute restart, a micro restart, a humility restart. This is where the repetition cue becomes your anchor. Never 0, never 0, never 0. That means a bad day doesn't have the power to erase your identity. A missed day doesn't have the power to erase your progress. Your only job is to make the next day count, even if it's only 2 minutes. 2 minutes maintains the identity. 2 minutes maintains the momentum. 2 minutes keeps the discipline alive. You have a choice. Choose never 0. Ritualize recovery. Make it automatic. Here's the part most people never do. They build a habit routine, but they never build a recovery routine. And that's why their discipline collapses the moment they slip. They think failure is a dead end, when actually it's a checkpoint, a feedback signal, a chance to tune the system. Your recovery protocol must be as ritualized as the habit itself. You hear that? As ritualized. Not optional, not emotional, not dramatic. Ritualized.
Here's your simple recovery checklist. 1. Forgive yourself immediately. No guilt, no drama, no spiraling. Forgiveness is not softness, it's efficiency. Why waste energy on shame when you could use that energy on restarting? You have a choice. 2. Schedule 2 minutes for tomorrow. Not 20 minutes, not an hour, 2 minutes. This eliminates resistance. This kills the perfection excuse. This makes the habit accessible even at your lowest. Never zero. 3. Notify your accountability person. Not the world, not the internet. One person. Someone who checks deliverables, not emotions. Someone who asks, "Did you complete the 2 minutes?" No applause, no pity, just alignment. That is discipline. That is identity. That is how you stay alive in the long game. Say it again. Recover fast. Recover fast. Recover fast. That's the key. Recovery is not weakness. Recovery is your competitive advantage, because while perfectionists stay stuck for weeks after a slip, disciplined people return in a single day, and that advantage compounds. 1 recovery becomes 10, 10 becomes 50, 50 becomes a lifestyle. You don't need permission to recover quickly. You don't need validation to begin again. You only need the courage to move, and courage is a choice. Final reinforcement. The all-or-nothing mindset is not ambition. It's fear. Fear of shame. Fear of imperfection. Fear of being seen trying. But you're not here to protect your ego. You're here to build your discipline. You're here to build a life that compounds. You're here to build momentum you can't lose. And that momentum comes from the same 3 pillars. Progress over perfect. Never zero. Recover fast. Say them again, then again. This is the mindset that takes you from dreaming to doing, from hesitation to discipline, from identity confusion to identity clarity. You have a choice. Kill the all-or-nothing mindset. Choose discipline. Choose motion. Choose resilience. Because now that you've dismantled the perfection trap, it's time to confront an even deeper enemy, an enemy that destroys more potential than failure or fear, your relationship with comfort. You just mastered momentum. Now let's master discomfort.
Chapter 8. The Compound Margin. Small wins, huge results. There is a hidden advantage that separates the consistent from the chaotic. A margin. A tiny margin. A margin so small the undisciplined dismiss it, but the disciplined understand it. They protect it, they build it, and they weaponize it. This chapter is about that margin, the compound margin, the 1% edge, the almost invisible improvement that grows into a massive advantage over time. You have a choice. You always have a choice. That's the key. The world loves dramatic transformation stories, overnight success, massive leaps, instant breakthroughs, but that's a fantasy. Real transformation comes from direction, not drama. From small wins, not sudden miracles. From margins, tiny, consistent margins that compound until your life becomes unrecognizable. Say it with me. 1% daily, unstoppable. 1% daily, unstoppable. Because that's exactly what you become when you commit to tiny daily improvements. The first breakthrough. 1% daily improvement is a superpower. Look at your life through a different lens. Forget perfection. Forget intensity. Forget trying to change everything at once. Instead, ask, what does 1% better look like today? 1% better in your health might be a 5-minute walk. 1% better in your finances might be saving an extra $5.
1% better in your craft might be reading a single page. 1% better in your habits might be going to bed 10 minutes earlier. Those actions don't look powerful in the moment. They look too small, too quiet, too easy to dismiss. But that's the problem. Most people dismiss the path that actually works. Here's the truth. 1% daily improvement compounds into radical change. Just like money grows with interest, discipline grows with tiny, consistent action. The difference between the person who commits to 1% and the person who waits for perfect conditions becomes massive in a year and unbridgeable in 5. Say it again. 1% daily, unstoppable. 1% daily, unstoppable. That's the key. Let me give you a real example. Think about someone saving a tiny amount of money each month. Nothing dramatic, nothing glamorous, just consistent deposits. It seems insignificant until the compounding kicks in. Suddenly, a few dollars become hundreds, hundreds become thousands, thousands become security, freedom, leverage. Habits work exactly the same way. Your health compounds, your skills compound, your mindset compounds, your confidence compounds. Every 1% is a drop of water, and eventually those drops become a flood. You don't need their permission to improve in small ways. You don't need applause for tiny wins. You just need discipline. Because this book is not about perfection. It's about direction. It's not about huge jumps. It's about daily margins. You have a choice. Choose the margin. Design for margins, the slightly better path. Now let's talk about the system, because small wins aren't random. They're designed, they're engineered, they are intentional, even when they look simple. Consistency is not a personality trait. It's an environment. It's a structure. It's a design. To create compound margin, you must build your life around the question, what is the slightly better choice right now? Not the perfect choice, not the impressive choice, just the slightly better one. Say it with me, slightly better always. Slightly better always. Consider your work. You don't need to rewrite the entire project. You just need 1% better planning, 1% better structure, 1% better review before publishing. Consider your fitness. You don't need a 90-minute workout. You just need to add 10 more push-ups. You just need to choose water instead of soda. You just need a 2-minute stretch before bed. Consider your personal growth. You don't need to finish a book in one night. You just need to read one page, or highlight one idea, or revise one goal. Slightly better choices create exponential advantage. A person who chooses slightly better every day becomes unstoppable because they no longer rely on motivation. They rely on margins. And margins are predictable. Margins are sustainable. Margins never fail. That's the key. Slightly better is always available. Perfection almost never is. You don't need permission to begin your chain. You don't need a perfect day to earn an X. You just need your 1%. See the chain. Don't break the chain. That's the key. Final reinforcement. Small wins, tiny improvements, invisible margins. These are not insignificant. They are everything. This chapter is your reminder that greatness is not built in leaps. It's built in layers. Layer after layer, day after day, margin after margin. Because when you choose 1% better every day, you become unstoppable. When you design your life around small wins, you create exponential advantage. When you track your progress visually, you reinforce your identity. That's how compounding works. That's how discipline grows. That's how transformation happens. You have a choice.
Choose the margin. Choose the 1%. Choose the chain. Because now that you understand the power of compounding, it's time to strengthen the foundation that makes compounding possible: your energy, your focus, and your internal state. You mastered your margins. Now let's master your inner world.
Chapter 9. Sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term identity. Identity is the final battlefield. Not your schedule, not your motivation, not your circumstances. Identity. Because discipline is not just what you do. Discipline is who you are becoming. And nothing transforms your identity faster than your willingness to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term greatness. You have a choice. You always have a choice. That's the key. Most people want results without identity. They want transformation without sacrifice. They want the title without the habits. They want the reputation without the repetition. But that's not how it works. You don't become something by wishing. You become it by acting. You become it by choosing. You become it by eliminating the things that weaken your identity and replacing them with the actions that strengthen who you're becoming. Say it with me. Becomes you because you do it. Becomes you because you do it. Identity is built through behavior, not belief. Here's the truth people avoid. Identity isn't found. Identity is built. You don't wait to become the person you want to be. You behave like that person now, right now, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. You want to be a writer? Then act like a writer. Writers write, not once a month, not when they feel inspired. They write because that's who they are. You want to be someone disciplined? Then do disciplined things. Not perfect, not dramatic, just consistent, just daily. Identity is shaped through action. Identity is shaped through sacrifice. Identity is shaped through repeated proof. That's the key. The difference between I want to be and I am is measured in minutes of action, not months of planning. Say it again. Becomes you because you do it. Sacrifice is not loss, it's identity investment. Most people fail because they frame discipline as deprivation. They think every sacrifice is a loss. They think every no is suffering. They think every missed pleasure is a punishment. That mindset kills growth. That mindset kills consistency. That mindset kills identity. Here's the shift. Sacrifice is not deprivation. Sacrifice is investment. Sacrifice is identity-building capital. Say it. Invest now, own later. Invest now, own later. When you skip a night of binge TV to work on your craft, that's not deprivation. That's investment into discipline. When you choose to sleep early instead of scrolling your phone, that's not punishment. That's investment into energy. When you refrain from unnecessary spending to build savings, that's not restriction. That's investment into freedom. Every sacrifice is a vote for your future identity. Every sacrifice is a vote for your future self. Every sacrifice compounds into someone stronger, sharper, more aligned. It's not about comfort, it's about character. It's not about pleasure, it's about purpose. It's not about feeling good today, it's about becoming great tomorrow. You have a choice. Choose the investment, not the impulse. Choose the identity, not the indulgence. Identity language rewires action, and action rewires identity. Language is the software of identity. The words you speak become instructions to your brain, and most people speak weakly. They speak like victims. They speak like passengers. They use soft language that kills discipline before action even begins. I should. I wish. I hope. I want to.
These words destroy identity. These words weaken your discipline. These words keep you in the cycle of inaction. Replace them. Replace "I should journal" with "I journal." Replace "I want to work out" with "I train." Replace "I hope I get better" with "I improve daily." Identity statements trigger identity actions, and action strengthens identity. Say it with me. Say it, do it, own it. Say it, do it, own it. You don't need permission to speak from identity. You don't need perfection to speak with certainty. You just need consistency. And here's the rule. Every identity statement must be followed by a 2-minute action. Say "I read" 1 page. Say "I train" do 2 minutes of movement. Say "I create" open your project file. Say "I grow" take 1 small step. Action locks in identity. Identity makes the next action easier, and the cycle continues. That's the key. Why sacrifice is the ultimate short-term discipline and the ultimate long-term advantage. Sacrifice sharpens identity in a way comfort never will. Comfort protects your present self. Sacrifice protects your future self. Comfort keeps you the same. Sacrifice makes you different. Short-term pleasure says, do what feels good now. Identity says, do what makes you powerful later. You have a choice every time. You have a choice between who you are and who you could become. Let me give you a truth most people avoid. If you can't sacrifice small pleasures, you can't build big changes. If you can't delay gratification, you can't accelerate identity. If you can't give up easy wins, you can't earn meaningful ones. Your identity is not built in the highlight moments. It's built in the boring ones, the quiet ones, the private ones, the moments no one sees, the sacrifices no one applauds. That's where discipline becomes identity. That's where identity becomes destiny. Because it's not about comfort, it's about consistency. It's not about indulgence, it's about improvement. It's not about feeling like it. It's about becoming the kind of person who does what's required. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need anyone to clap for your sacrifices, because you're not doing this for them. You're doing this for the future version of you, the identity you're building day by day. Practical identity transformation. What to do now, not someday. Here's what you must do now. Choose one identity you want to embody. Not 10, not 5, 1. I am a disciplined person. I am a builder. I am a creator. I am a learner. Identify one sacrifice that proves that identity. Turn off the TV at 9. Skip sugar after dinner. Avoid doom scrolling. Review your goals for 2 minutes. Something small, something clear, something daily. Say the identity statement out loud, then take the action. Say it, do it, own it. Repeat this every day for 30 days. That's the identity cycle. Action, identity, action, identity. Your identity becomes your destiny, but only if your actions deserve it. Sacrifice sharpens identity. Identity strengthens discipline. Discipline shapes destiny. This chapter gives you the inner framework that transforms your self-image from fragile to unbreakable. Because once you understand that sacrifice is investment, once you understand that identity is behavior, once you understand that you become what you repeatedly prove, you unlock the next level of discipline. You have a choice. Choose the identity, choose the sacrifice, choose the future. Now that you've built identity, it's time to protect that identity from failure, fear, and chaos.
Chapter 10. Scale consistency, not willpower. You reach a point in your journey where force is no longer enough, where pushing harder stops working, where willpower shows its limits, And this is where most people collapse. Not because they're weak, but because they never learned the real rule. You don't scale willpower, you scale systems. This chapter is that rule. This chapter is the turning point. This chapter is the upgrade your discipline has been waiting for. Because once the small habits are mastered, it's time to multiply them. Not through strain, not through intensity, but through structure. Scale the system, not the struggle. Scale the system, not the struggle. You mastered the basics. You built the daily reps. You showed up even when you didn't want to. Now the question becomes simple. How do you take a consistent 10 minutes and turn it into 30? How do you take a single daily win and turn it into 5? How do you take your new identity and make it your new normal? Here is the truth. You do it by layering. You do it by attaching habits to habits. You do it by turning discipline into a chain reaction. You have a choice. You can keep fighting every day like it's day one, or you can build a system that makes progress automatic. That's the key. Not more effort, more structure. Not more pressure, more design. Think of your current routine. Think of that 10-minute practice you've mastered. Most people try to jump straight from 10 to 30 by force, by hype, by motivation, and they fail. Because willpower is unstable. Willpower is emotional. Willpower is inconsistent. Instead, here's what the disciplined do. They add a 2-minute trigger. They reduce friction. They stack behavior on behavior, and the 30 minutes emerges naturally. You don't need their permission. You don't need motivation. You need a system that scales itself. Scale the system, not the struggle. Scale the system, not the struggle. Let's break it down. 1. Layer the habits you already mastered. You've already built the foundation. Your job now is to add layers, small, strategic, repeatable layers. Example, you practice your skill for 10 minutes every morning. Now add a 2-minute review at lunch. Add a 5-minute warm-up before bed. Suddenly, the 10-minute habit becomes a 30-minute lifestyle without the emotional weight. You didn't push harder. You didn't become more motivated. You simply multiplied touch points. That's what growth really looks like. Not a dramatic leap, but a structured expansion. You have a choice. Add pressure or add architecture. Add stress or add systems. Consistent layering beats inconsistent intensity every time. 2. Reduce the friction, increase the output. Scaling requires removing resistance. Most people ask, how do I force myself to do more? The disciplined ask, how do I make it easier to do more? It's not about pride, it's about design. If your environment still fights you, you're scaling the struggle. If your tools are scattered, you're scaling the chaos. If your time blocks are emotional, you're scaling inconsistency. Clear your environment, prepare your tools, design your path. Make the behavior so easy to begin that not doing it feels unnatural. That's the key. When friction goes down, consistency goes up. When consistency goes up, expansion becomes automatic. When expansion becomes automatic, you don't need willpower anymore. Scale the system, not the struggle. 3. Build guardrails so growth doesn't turn into chaos. Success without structure collapses. Growth without boundaries becomes disorder. Progress without rules becomes burnout. That's why disciplined people build guardrails. Guardrails protect your progress. Guardrails protect your identity. Guardrails protect your time, your focus, your energy. Guardrails grow freedom. Guardrails grow freedom. What does that look like? Minimum standards, review cycles, clear exits. A minimum standard keeps you grounded. It's the rule that says even on the worst day, this still happens. That minimum standard protects your streak even when your life gets messy. A review cycle keeps you honest. Once a month, you sit down, you measure, you prune, you recommit. You remove everything that drifted off track. You eliminate the habits that no longer serve the mission.
This is how professionals train. This is how disciplined people stay disciplined. And the exit rule, this is where your maturity shows. You decide in advance what you will quit, when you will quit, and under what conditions you will quit. That protects you from emotional decisions. That protects you from burnout disguised as ambition. Guardrails control the path, so you can focus on the movement. You have a choice: build boundaries now or pay for disorder later. Guardrails grow freedom. 4. Teach the system to someone else. This is the final level of scaling, and most people never reach it. When you teach your system to someone else, your identity crystallizes, your discipline cements, your habits stick. Why? Because teaching forces clarity. Teaching forces accountability. Teaching forces ownership. You can mentor a junior, you can lead a small group, you can share your routine publicly, you can create a weekly update, you can document your process. The point isn't the audience, the point is the responsibility. When you teach it, you keep it. Teach to keep it. Teach to keep it. If you want your habits to last, pass them on. If you want your discipline to deepen, articulate it out loud. If you want your consistency to scale, share it with someone who will notice when you stop. That's the accountability no app can give you. That's the pressure that elevates you instead of draining you. You don't need their permission. You need the courage to lead by example. This is the final evolution of consistency. Scaling consistency is not about trying harder. It's about thinking smarter, designing better, executing cleaner. It's not about more willpower. It's about more structure, more rhythm, more layers, more guardrails, more shared responsibility. This is how you lock in a new life. This is how you lock in a new identity. This is how you stop relying on emotion and start relying on systems. You have a choice: stay stuck at trying or graduate into engineering. Scale the system, not the struggle. Guardrails grow freedom. Teach to keep it. These are not slogans. They are survival rules for long-term success. Because the truth is simple. Willpower may fail. Motivation may disappear. Emotions may shift, but systems endure. And when your system scales, your life transforms. You've built the habits. You've built the discipline. You've built the consistency. Now you've built the engine. And this engine will take you further than motivation ever could. You mastered the art of growing without force, and now it's time to seal the lesson and close the journey. You scaled your consistency. Now let's close the loop on your transformation. Let's bring it home. Every rule in this book leads to one unavoidable conclusion. Consistency is not magic, it is method. Start with 2 minutes. Design your room. Ritualize the start. Measure the truth. Fix what breaks. Forgive the miss and return faster. Compound the small wins until they become your identity. The formula is simple because it must be done again and again. Here is the challenge. Pick one habit right now. Set the 2-minute start. Place the object in your environment and commit to showing up tomorrow. Do that and report back to no one. Report back to the calendar. Discipline is earned in the quiet repeats. If this landed, smash the like button and subscribe to MindShift audiobooks for the daily pressure you need. Now go. 2 minutes starts the rest of your life.